are back, and it is episode 198 of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me, as always, is the great. He's right. He's down there.
That would be Carcass John in the Godzilla shirt.
And also,
at least somebody saw that.
Here,
yep.
Who is? I'm tired. He is sick, but we are not sick and tired.
Yeah. Actually, I am tired too, so I am sick and tired. So if I crack or cough, you just have to excuse me.
Yep. Scott
or
Waters
sniffle.
is here, and but listen here. The Encyclopedia Metallum is right there with the Iron Maiden shirt on. But nobody cares about us. We know that. We're okay with that. Who you want to hear from today is that dude way over there. Say hello to the great Bill Rhynes from REPTALIEN and formerly of REVEREND. So we're going to get to know him today, and we're going to hear all kinds of goodies from him. But like we do, let's go around the horn, do some shout outs. If you picked up something cool, let's talk about it. And I'll kick us off so everybody can get a good laugh. I don't really have a shout out per se this week, but I did pick up the Tees complete collection from the Heavy Metal Museum. Gary Schaefer over there. I picked this up, and it includes the Rough House CD. So I've had this on vinyl for a million years, and finally was able to get a CD copy. So there you go. I think I'm the only one on the show that's excited about Tees.
I just don't know him. I don't.
I'm getting
glam metal.
Excited.
Getting a tremendous amount of echo for some reason.
Oh man, I don't know.
Do you have? You don't happen to have YouTube open, do you? Because that'll cause that if YouTube is open. Anyhow,
no.
Damn it.
No, this is the only thing I got open is the StreamYard.
I don't know unless somebody.
I wonder if there's is there a speaker thing on here somewhere?
If you
let me mute the page.
If you go into settings at the bottom and select audio, you can hit echo cancellation. It should take care of it.
Audio echo cancel. Yeah, it's checked.
Oh, I'm not sure then. That's weird.
Production value.
Yeah. That's all right. While he's trying to figure that out, I'll show you what I wanted to show since you're done, Rob. SimForce. Forceful Ahead came in the mail. Remastered, bonus tracks. This album's phenomenal, but I love this album. Twice Second, SimForce, German power metal. Somebody did an outstanding job on the mastering on that. And then also this came in the mail today.
I wonder who that is.
New Testimony of the Apocalypse.
Oh, wow.
The Offering. This thing is brutally heavy, much heavier than their last album. I think I have a hard time calling this thing thrash now. It really kind of pushes the borders of death metal now, although it's not a whole lot of blast beats and stuff like that, but it's still, the vocals are really guttural. It's all very heavy. So anyhow, these two are on Brutal Planet Records. So what is that? boonsoverstock.com.
Yep.
And this is Rox Records, so roxrecords.com if anybody's interested in those. But John, I think you would love this one, The Testimony of the Apocalypse. It's pretty damn heavy.
I like their last one. I mean,
very well produced.
But I like all the Sacrament stuff. So
it's good.
I would like that.
That's it for me.
Carcass, what have you got?
Well, first of all, shout out to Tex Duncan, our buddy from Creeper. He turned 40 on Saturday, and we went to he actually played a party in a barn. That's what we do down here in Texas. We actually go set up a stage on one end of the barn and and move the cows out and watch Creeper just tear stuff up. And they've added a guitar player. I don't know if you knew that. Jimmy's brother has taken over duties with rhythm, and it really fills it up, and it really sounds great. They're targeting next January probably for the release of their first full length. And I got a couple Creepers here that you might be interested in. This is a Metallica and Justice for All, but it's the official mix with bass, not buried in the mix. So, and Justice for All for Jason.
Nice.
180-gram colored vinyl. It's got a nice little history thing on the back, but sounds phenomenal because you can actually hear the bass. Because Jason used to.
Is that even Pusshead artwork on the front of it as well?
That is correct.
Yeah,
that is Pusshead.
Nice.
Yep, and there's a few copies available if you're interested. So let me know, boys. Here's another cool one. Check this out. Unleashed in New York.
nice.
Ooh.
And it's a soundboard recording from a little pub called the Mud Club in New York City, March 11th, 1979. And this thing absolutely shreds. I might go so far as to say it's better than Unleashed in the East, but I don't want to blaspheme here on the show. But it's got Hellbent for Leather, Delivering the Goods, Running Wild, Beyond the Realms of Death, Green Man Leashy, Victim of Changes, Rock Forever, and Starbreaker. That's the set list. And it's a soundboard recording. Sounds freaking awesome. And it's a special recording, not a bootleg. Can't say that. Can't say that on the Metal Roundtable. But other than that,
It's an import.
yeah, special import. But no, other than that, happy birthday, Tex. And yeah, if you want copies of those, I can get you copies of those.
Awesome. Steve, what you got? And then let's get into it with
I went down a really weird rabbit hole this week with the band X. I ran across their documentary, which is one of the best documentaries I've seen, and just went down a rabbit hole with them. But I got out of it today. I was spinning the new Adorned Graves, gave that a couple spins the last couple of days, and then pulled out the Mighty Vindicator and gave that a spin about 2 hours ago.
Hang on. Show that one again. There you go.
Oh, is that the
on No Life to Metal Records?
Yeah, this is the one. This is the one that Scott did. That what was it, about 6 months ago?
Yeah, it's a double album. It's got the full album remastered, and then it's got a new track on it that they recorded with their original vocalists on the first one, and then it's got a bunch of demos and live stuff.
Yeah.
Killer. All right.
Very cool. Wow.
Well, we've got a 5-man booth, so we're going to try not to crowd it here because we've got a few questions for the great Bill Rhynes, and so if you've got questions in the comments, guys, post them up for Bill. Now, for those of you who may not know who Bill is, he and I got to know each other a little bit before the show. I was fortunate enough to do some mastering work for Bill on the Reptalian album that is out on Scott's label, No Life Till Metal. So please, once you get to know Bill here on the show, go support the man and go pick up a CD or vinyl from No Life Till Metal Records. And you'll be supporting not only Scott's label, but the great Bill Rhynes.
And that thing rips, by the way.
He has
Very
promised,
very
Thank you very
impressive.
much.
he has promised some exclusive video here today.
Yes, I have.
So,
I think I got my audio issue fixed too.
beautiful.
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah, I think what it was is my wife is listening in the next room, and I think she was up a little too loud or something. I don't know, but anyway, it went away. So
beautiful.
Good.
Beautiful. Well, I will start scrolling through the comments once we get Bill rolling here. But the first thing I would like to do, Scott, why don't you tell us how you guys got connected and the label came out, and just take us through the recording of the Reptalian album and from start to finish.
Me or him?
You guys hit it. You guys.
Oh, go ahead, Bill.
yeah, well, I couldn't have done this without my good friend Terry Mariniak.
Yep.
In Canada. I think you guys know him pretty well. By the way, he is probably the curator of the most immersive and exhaustive Dave Wayne collection on the internet. So check out his website if you get a chance to. There's links on the album for that, and we can hook you up if, because I don't have it handy right now, but really, if you're into Dave Wayne or Metal Church, he's got the goods. He has everything. But, this all started from, the COVID thing everybody was going through. And I wanted to get a project done. Previous, I was trying to do kind of a tribute Reverend project with some outside help and an original drummer from Reverend Todd Stoats. And it just never came about. There one thing after another just kept knocking it off line, and finally it was just time to call it quits, or at least put it on the shelf. And I got really frustrated, and I said, I need to put out a project. I need to get something prepared, and this is where Reptalian came from, and I found some people through connections to help me with that. And basically, the album is political as heck. I mean, I don't know if it's hard not to talk about it without getting it, but it's all about the things we've all went through in the last previous years. And I don't have to get into too much detail, but there's a lot of frustration involved, a lot of anger, and that's where the energy for that album came from. And Terry helped me get hooked up with Scott and Bill and make it a reality. And I'm still very thankful that happened, because I'm really proud and really happy to be part of these guys and what they're doing.
Oh, Scott, we're not losing you, are we?
Just had to blow my nose and didn't want to do that on with audio on.
Yeah, poor guy.
Either that or I mean, maybe I don't know how metal it is. Maybe it's metal if you have snot coming running down your face.
Metal
oh, that's cool. That's
right.
cool. That's actually pretty metal. All right.
Yeah.
Metal snot.
Well, how would you describe the music of Reptalian, other than political? But I mean, what style of music? How would you describe that?
My inspirations are so mixed up. I mean, I started off with Kiss just like everybody else, and went to Van Halen, Ted Nugent, all that stuff, Led Zeppelin, Rush, and Black Sabbath, and that's where things really got turned on for me, was with Black Sabbath. And I'm still a huge Black Sabbath fan, but late 80s, when Metallica and things started happening, everything came a little clearer. So, I mean, the album is a mixture of so many things, and I've heard people say it's hard to put it under one genre. And even Scott, and we have talked about this. It's just heavy metal. I mean, I don't know how to categorize it or to label it. There's elements of thrash. There's elements of, some electronic stuff in the smallest ways, but it's just really moody. And I like great songs. I like melody. I like things that say something. But I think it's heavy. It's fast in places. It's pretty slow in places. Real slow, I think. I listened to it in the car coming home one day. Finally, I was like, man, I didn't make this album fast enough. I told my wife, this thing's putting me to sleep. But that's not a great way to advertise an album. But I mean, it was just...
I agree with you. There's got parts of it that are very moody. It kind of weaves a tapestry between the really heavy stuff and it's not mellow. It's just moody and almost atmospheric at times. And that's what I digged about it. It was like Metal Church experimenting slightly with prog.
Yeah. Well, and I was going for darkness, of course, there's a lot of dark elements to the album.
Well, it still stays heavy all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah, dark and heavy. It's fast, but it's metal. It's just metal. I don't know what else to say.
I think a lot of bands are mixing genres or whatever, so you can't really lock them down. But that's kind of what I like about sprinkling variety in there. I mean, even the new. I keep talking about the new Tomb Mold that came out last week, but it's definitely super heavy death metal with everything from ambient to jazz fusion in it. But it all seems to work, because there's a nice flow that connects the album with each song. So,
oh yeah, and that's why I like Megadeth so much, because Dave hired jazz musicians to play drums and play guitar in his bands, and that's why they were so wicked. Didn't
Vinny Colaiuta play for Megadeth for a while?
I don't know about that.
I'll have to look it up. But
look at Testament. Alex Skolnick went to school for jazz.
Yeah,
jazz guitar, and he's in a jazz band as well.
Oh, Skolnick's a monster.
Yeah.
But maybe we can get him to do some leads. Maybe you can get him to do some leads on your next album.
Wouldn't that be something?
Just give him a call. Just give him a call. I'm sure he'll do it.
Yeah,
Steve, you make that call to Alex, please.
yeah. Let's get him on the boat. Let's get him over here because I'm ready to do another one. But the next one I think is going to be in a little more crushingly heavy vein, as opposed to because this was kind of a concept. The songs kind of string into each other. It just kind of flowed because I always kind of like the Pink Floyd type of approach. Like The Wall and some of the older stuff, and everything just flowed in like one piece. And it was a nightmare, I think, for Scott to put it all together because there was so many different elements to cue up and make happen at the right time and all this and that. But man, he made it happen. Scott, I mean, not Scott, but
Rob.
No, man. I'm going to tell you, like I tell all the bands, I appreciate it sincerely, but you guys do the heavy lifting. You make the big stack of pancakes. I'm just putting some syrup on it, man. The credit is all yours.
Me too.
But if all your credit.
Yeah, but if the syrup is nasty, it ruins the pancakes.
Right.
Well, you receive things that are very well prepared for mastering, and you receive things that are not. And the Reptalian album was very well prepared for mastering.
Well, thank you. I
thank you for the compliment, but yeah, it was well done.
Well, and it's funny because once you spend so much time putting something together and working on the production and the mixing and all like that, then you got to hand it over to somebody else and let them do their thing too. I was like, oh man, I'm already attached to what I did, but
right.
I mean, but you made it even better. So thank you. You made it so much better. And I learned a lot in that process.
I enjoy the work, man. It reveals things that you don't hear in your mix sometimes. And the reason that I learned that is because it happened to me. And so, no, man, I'm humbled. Thank you so much.
No.
I like that you guys had the reporting, the news reporting playing in the background, kind of a throwback to some of the late 80s thrash, the political thrash from the late 80s and early 90s. I thought that was kind of cool. You don't hear many bands do that these days.
Oh, what was that from? On the album?
From the album.
Oh, this was from, well, I think one of the things you heard was the things that were going on in China when people were locked up in their apartments and they were just screaming. I think we all saw the videos, screaming out loud, and they didn't have any food and any water, and they had drones in the sky telling them to, don't
stay in their place.
Just be quiet and don't sing out loud is basically what they were singing, what they were telling the people.
It just reminded me quite a bit. You mentioned Megadeth, Megadeth doing that in the late 80s with the reports and the screams in the background and stuff. And Riot did it with their power metal stuff in the late 80s. So that was kind of a cool.
Yeah. And what's that thing that Megadeth used to open up their concert with for a while was Ice-T did with the Black Sabbath theme. Shut up and be happy. That was that was pretty wicked. But yeah, I like those elements, and I like to throw a lot of that stuff into the album between the songs, different sound effects. Between one, I've got the sound of two black holes coming together. That's between a couple of the songs, and just I like an environment. I like the atmosphere. I like good music, but I also like to see something come alive with some, a lot of different exciting things and interesting things. Ear candy, I guess. Ear candy. I like ear candy.
It's good to hear an album that's all put together. It's not made for singles on Spotify, like half the music out there, half the bands out there. It's actually an album concept as opposed to just a bunch of single songs that don't really interlace.
Yeah, and hopefully the songs stand on their own. But you're right. That's pretty much what it was all about. It was a theme. It was a concept.
Yeah.
And I didn't go into it, thinking like that. But that's just kind of how it came out. Just like the album cover, I didn't go into it thinking, man, I want to have a big dragon on my cover. But that's what happened.
Sometimes metal needs dragons.
Sometimes.
Hey,
Sometimes.
if
So-
you're
It's because you're a big Dragon Force fan, right?
Oh yeah, you better believe it. No,
Yeah.
actually, I don't know too much about them, but when I approached the artist that did the cover and said I don't want any monsters or any dragons on the cover, but here's kind of the theme I'm thinking. And he turned around and what he does, he paints me a dragon. I said, "That's awesome! I got to use that." So it's just you can make plans, but things change, But it worked out for the better. And it
I
worked out.
think Dio taught us to always err on the side of the dragon. So if we learn nothing else from Dio, dragons are okay. So
I worked in a tattoo shop for a year with a guy named Bob Shaw, who is a legend in the state of Texas in the tattoo world, and he once told me, he said, "I'm going to listen to what you think you want, but you're going to get what I think you need." And,
there's an artist, yeah.
and he's a true artist, and yes, he listened to your concept, but sometimes we overthink it and we need an outside opinion. But
yeah,
I guess a question I would have is, now that you've got the album together and it's out, and people are listening to it, I mean, is there any thought is that something that you've even thought about touring with, or doing any live shows, or one-offs, or
that's been the hope all along, and hopefully it will still come to that. I mean, Mikolai stated that he would not be interested at one point in doing any live performances, so that kind of made me start thinking about other singers, because I'd like to do something further with this and take it out for people. But he's got a lot of he has a lot of commitments at home, and he lives in Poland, and there's a lot of it's traveling can be kind of scary, I guess, in that general region, and going out and doing things, but especially at this time. But to that end, I was talking to Jacques Serrano from Taunted in the Bay Area for we've talked off and on a lot in the last year or so, and he's been wanting to do a part of my projects and what I've been doing, and I've always been a fan of his voice because he just crushes. So he's I sent him some music to work on, and he's got a lot of things going on, but he's still really interested in doing something. So we'll see what happens with that. I tried to do a fundraiser recently so we could get some studio time set up, but didn't collect too much money for that. So I just have to play it by ear.
So one thing,
excuse me.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm struggling to even talk, so go ahead.
So whenever we talked about doing this project for No Life Till Metal, and I knew I was going to be mastering it, I remember Scott saying, "Hey man, you're going to dig this new Reptalian thing that's coming up. This dude used to play in Reverend." So obviously we are all very interested in your time in Reverend and with David Wayne. So I don't even know where to begin with that. How did that come about for you?
Oh boy, those I grew up in Yakima, and Dave grew up in Wapato, which was just a little further east of Yakima, a little smaller town. But he was a lot older than me, so we never ran into each other around that area. But in one of the first bands, the first metal band I was in, we were friends with a couple of the people that were on the crew. Alan, who did sound for Metal Church, and Denny, who was running the fan club for them at the time. And they'd bring home stories and tapes and things. And one of the cassettes he brought us to listen to was a demo Metal Church did. And if you guys can find this, let me know. Because it was a cover of Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, which was just absolutely kick-ass. And so, when I heard the first Metal Church release, I was blown away. That was the hottest thing that I thought I ever heard. The song Metal Church was super dark and blah, blah, blah. We played that. We played a lot of covers. We were playing Accept and Judas Priest and stuff like that. And so that was my introduction to Metal Church and Dave Wayne. Of course, later on, I joined a different band that did all originals, and we were probably, I don't know. Has anybody even heard of Yakima, Washington?
I spent some time in the Puget Sound. I
lived in Spokane, so I know I've got friends in Moses Lake, so yeah, I'm familiar with that area.
I was in the Navy. I spent time up in the Sound area for about 2 years. I know that area pretty good too.
Yeah, so it's isolated. There's not a lot going on, but as far as metal, we were probably the happening band, But what happened with that is Leviathan ended up getting invited to open for Reverend in '89 at a Rock Against Drugs show downtown with another band called Charged Martyr, which I also ended up being part of. So I was part of all three of those bands at one point or another.
Rock Against Drugs? Is that what you said it was?
Rock Against Drugs, yeah.
Oh, I think I was there, but I was too stoned to remember it.
We were all blasted out of our minds. So,
just kidding.
The irony. The irony. But yeah, so that's where I met Dave. He was kind of emceeing everything and welcoming bands in and showing them. We had where Gary said, "Just put it over there," and hands, shaking our hands, just being just really a really magnanimous human being, just really friendly. The guy always had it going on. When he entered a room, he just lit it up. And that's the way that was my first impression of Dave. And, time went by and blah, blah, blah. And right about 1992, they had the Rodney King riots in California. And Dave was living in Compton at the time when he was working with Reverend. And he decided to get the heck out of Dodge. And he moved up to Yakima with some friends of his where I was at the time. And as it turned out, some friends of mine that played music that knew Dave wanted to put together a Halloween show that year. And it was a bunch of us heavy metal dudes playing country music on Halloween. And Dave was part of that, and he sang. And it was a lot of fun. And it was not what you'd expect. Naturally, but it was pretty weird and wild and wacky. But we had a few jam sessions for that, and that's we hung out a little bit more. And then after that, I got a call, and Dave asked me if I'd be interested in trying out for his new Reverend that he was putting together. And I said, yeah. So he came over to the house. I played him some riffs, and we hung out. My cat attacked him. It was the funniest damn thing. Dave was sitting in a chair across from where we were in my bedroom, and I had my window open, and my cat came out from outside, out of nowhere through the curtain, and just attacked Dave. Just grabbed him by the hair, and Dave jumps up, turns around, kicks the chair over, and he's about to do karate on the cat because this cat just scared the shit out of him. But the next thing, Dave is telling me about demons. He said, "You want to know about demons? Okay." Now, a demon, and here's what he told me. A demon will go after somebody if a sorcerer has control of him and wants to curse somebody. And if that person has a charm or something special protecting him, that demon will get mad and he'll turn around and get a bunch more demons and they'll go back and hit the guy even harder. And that was one of the first things he ever talked to me about, because Dave had some interest in the occult. And as it turned out, so did I. We both had a lot of things in common from the get-go, especially in that department. But he wanted me to join, so we started jamming and playing together. And we had the Reverend Project where we were writing original songs and getting ready to make some demos, which we did. We made about 3 demos for his friends Dan McConomy and Brian Krebs, I guess. His hookups in LA, but his record people decided to go with their third option, which was not to release another Reverend album, because I guess they felt like Dave had abandoned California and the whole scene, so they kind of pulled the rug out from under him. So at the time, we were kind of doing a house band gig at a local tavern called the Detour Tavern, and we did cover songs by metal bands, cover songs by pop, rhythm and blues, country songs. That was just in the makeup of the crowd. I mean, it was dart championships, people showing up to play darts. at this place. We played there every weekend, and it was pretty interesting at times. But Dave was a character. Dave was a real character, and we ended up relocating to the Seattle area again and regroup and get some different people. But the original drummer and Rob, and I don't know, Rob, do you live in Plano?
You're on mute, Rob.
I only work in technology, no big deal. I'm up the road from Plano, just north in McKinney.
Anyway, that original drummer in the Yakima version of Reverend lives in Plano.
Oh,
so,
wow.
And that's Jamie Northrup. If you ever get a chance, he's an extremely talented drummer, and he plays in a Dawkins tribute band in the area called Rockin', I think.
Yeah.
But we've been friends way back.
Rob's a groupie.
Yeah.
Rob loves Don Dawkins for whatever reason. We haven't quite got to the base of it, but let's suffice it to say that Don Dawkins could do no wrong in Rob's eyes. So
I think he said those exact words before.
I think he did say, I will drive 500 miles. I don't know what he said. Anyway.
I've said a lot of things about Dawkins.
I'll walk 500 miles, yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty cool, though. I've heard of those dudes. And, but anyway, let's get back to your story. Your story's...
Well, I don't want to. I feel like I'm doing all the talking and hogging everything over. But I mean, yeah, we were
supposed to be. This is the point of the show.
Well, this is your role here.
Okay.
Yeah, for you.
Well,
see, you need to treat this like we're just sitting at the bar, sitting at the taco stand, and we're just talking about metal. And here's this new interesting guy that used to play with David Wayne, for crying out loud, and you're telling us cool stories. So just keep going.
Well, as soon as I can find out who the interesting guy is, I'll
pretend it's you.
Okay. Well, since we're at a bar, I'll have my wife bring me a beer here in a second. But no, Dave was just a lot of fun. And I remember, so many great things. I mean, and I guess you could say he wasn't an arrogant guy. He wasn't conceited, He was really, really fair with everybody and really, really kind to everybody he knew, in my experience. But he was very proud of certain elements of his possession. He's very proud of his man parts, which had gotten a lot of press in the trade, legendary from what I hear, from what I understand. Even the trade magazines wrote articles about him and his unit. So one night behind the Detour Tavern, when we were doing our cover band show, he was talking about this, and everybody was talking, everybody's sitting there listening to him. He's going on, and Chuck, our bass player, said, "Yeah, it's just, I've never seen a guy like Dave who's pretty much set up like a barnyard animal." And Dave goes on and says, "Can you imagine what it's like being a guy with just a little acorn, and having to wake up every day and saying that's my life?" And I said, "Yeah, Dave, every fucking day." But and we'd have our smoke sessions. We'd get like 3 or 4 breaks during our gigs there at the Detour, and we'd go out and drink some beer, smoke something. And Dave was a big partaker. And me and Jamie were out back one night, and we were having a little relaxing moment. And Dave thought it would be funny to come up through the alley and rattle his keys and act like the cops. And he got me and Jamie running halfway down the block because he liked pulling stuff like that all the time. He came over to my house one night where I lived. I was staying with my sister for a while and her 3 little boys, and they had a super soaker. And me and Dave were going to work on some tunes. And you got a super soaker. And it was like 9:00 at night. And he grabs this thing, fills it up with water, goes out in my front yard, stands by the bushes, and he's shooting cars going down the road. And he's just having the greatest time. And I'm trying to write riffs, and I'm being all serious, the serious musician, writer, and everything. And he's come and said, "Come outside, let's shoot some cars. It's a blast." I'm working on the same, man. Go right ahead, knock yourself out. But that's just kind of, I mean, just the kind of guy he was. We went and saw Jurassic Park when it opened up, and I think we saw it like 6 times together. I mean, we loved the hell out of that flick. That was great. And one night he came over. He brought a boomerang for my nephews. Just really cool guy. And they thought that was the coolest thing in the world. They never seen one. But he came over one night with a bottle of wine. We sat around with my sister and had a few drinks and ended up with Dave getting more buzzed than usual. I never saw the guy drunk. I never saw Dave Wayne drunk in my life. Now, my sister was getting a little buzzed. And I think Dave figured he might have had a little bit of a chance. I was getting ready to go to bed, and Dave was just hanging out, and my sister wasn't ready to go to sleep, but I was crashing. Dave pulls me over to the side and he says, hey, so your sister's single? Would you mind if, he's basically getting my blessing to go after. And I said, man, she's a grown woman. She does whatever she wants. I don't care. But he's on the couch playing God's Wrath on my acoustic guitar and, just really trying to woo her. But I knew he wasn't her type at all. So, yeah, I knew there was not going to be a love connection or anything like that. But, God bless him. He tried anyway. Dave loved the women, and the women loved Dave. But, and that kind of thing never ended. But, just so many good memories.
I'm surprised he moved out of California. I'm surprised he moved out of California, though, because California is so much better now.
Right? I know.
I'm sorry, Rob. I talked over you. What were you going to say, Rob?
I'm just impressed that he was sitting in your living room playing Gods of Wrath on acoustic guitar.
The first night that I played Metal Church by Metal Church on him on stage was just unreal. I'm like, this is my life right now. It's what the heck, I was just a kid. I cut my teeth on that stuff. And here it was happening. I mean, it was just a great experience. I was really lucky, to be a part of that, even for a short time. And of course, me and Dave interacted, in different ways over 10 years because Reverend, that version of Reverend, when we were living in Burien and trying to make it take off.
Right.
I ended up going back to Yakima. I was broke. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a good job. I was working at a security place about 2 blocks away from the Detour Tavern, which was one of the places we like to play at. And I was doing telemarketing. I wasn't making hardly any money. I ended up having to go back to Yakima for a while. And so he carried on and I carried on, and we went our separate ways for a little while. But we got it together again in like 1999 to do some more demo tapes. And I had some fresh material that was a little better. But I wasn't too happy with the music that I was writing back in about 92 when we first got together. Of course, there were other people involved in the writing process at that time, and that didn't really work for me because I'm a bit of a control freak, I guess. I get tunnel vision. I've got really complete ideas when I have them. And it was just a weird setup, and the music didn't come out the music suffered for it. So later on, I had some better material, and we made a tape, and it didn't go anywhere either. So it just wasn't meant to be. And also, when I met Dave,
hearing is unreleased songs. That's all I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too.
And
demos.
I've got copies of them too, and the audio
guys that could maybe help you out with that. I think.
Well, I have some elements that I might be able to work with on some level. I'm still trying to work that out, but so we shall see what happens. But hey, I've got a little video clip of us playing at the D3. You want to see it? It's not very long. It might be 20 seconds long.
Yes.
It's Reverend in Renton. Let me see if I can figure out how to get this up here.
Let me get this banner off of here too.
All right.
Production value, kids. This is Bill Rhynes from this video is going to be something about Reverend, right?
Yeah, it's going to be Reverend, me with Dave Wayne, and I can't remember the bass player's name, but the drummer was Todd Stoats, and this was in Renton, Washington. And I don't know if it's gonna take a second to load. It looks like.
Oh, I can do it.
Can you? There you go. So the audio is crap.
A little
But-
blown out.
It
Just
was
a tad.
so hard to capture video back then, you know. So the fact that you have anything, I think, is cool. So
And I don't even know who took that video. I didn't see anybody there with a camera or anything. Todd got a hold of that somewhere along the line, and thank goodness he did. Even it's not listenable, but that was a Gunpoint that we were playing right there. That's what we started the show with, off, one of the Reverend albums. But
So were you part of the Wayne solo project called Metal Church, or is that somebody else?
no, and did that come out before or after Masterpiece? Or I remember it was kind of about a similar time, wasn't it? No, he did that when he did Dave Wayne's Metal Church. That's right. But
I just thought it was funny that he leaves the band and he releases an album called Metal Church. That's
Well, that was like a decade later, though. It was like 2001 or 2 when.
was it that late?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and
It was after Reverend. It was pretty late.
Well, about the time they were getting ready to do Masterpiece, he called me and he asked me if I wanted to go on tour with Metal Church in Germany and do their Germany tour. So I was getting pretty excited for that, and I was with my band in Yakima at the time again, a different band, and yeah, I want to do Germany. Of course, Vanderhoof had different plans, and he found somebody else to make that happen. And there's video of their shows. There's videos on YouTube of their shows in Germany at the time, and then Masterpiece came out, and that's all I talked to Dave for a while, until about 2000 when we started playing in Olympia. We had a rehearsal unit that we were trying to do, trying to make something happen there too. But it just wasn't meant to be. And when I first got together with Dave in about 92, I could tell, and I hate to say this, but I mean, his voice was going. His throat was really strained a lot. And this happens, in metal singers so much, especially the screamers. And Dave was a screamer, and you could hear it in his voice. And he struggled. He had a hard time belting out a lot of the things he was used to doing. But I kind of urged him to use more of his, his clean voice for a lot of stuff, because he has a big, powerful, commanding, thick, ballsy voice. But he's known for his screaming, and that's Dave Wayne, and that's how we remember him. That's just the way it was. But that's one thing I noticed when we got together, and I can't help but think that might have had something to do with the demos, because it really showed on the demos. But Masterpiece came out great. I mean, the guy had it, and they made that work. So, it's just. For me and Dave, it would just, never turned out where I really got to go on any serious tours or do any recording, but a lot of good times still.
Yeah, Gods of Wrath in the living room on the acoustic guitar. I mean, come on. Did you?
You can't buy that.
He hit on your sister. Come on.
You can't buy that. No. Yeah.
No, you can't. Hey, so you were talking when we were about to come on the show earlier, getting to know each other a little bit. You were talking about another video you had. What was that?
That's a totally unrelated one. And while you're saying that, I was thinking, there was another story about me and Dave getting arrested together. So, but I'll come back to that. The other video has to do with a band that I played with in 2012 briefly. And I don't know if you ever heard of the Mentors, but
Of
course.
Yeah. Good ethereal Christian band. Yeah. Mentors.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. No, back when I was, in my first metal bands and everything, that was one of the party bands we listened to. We get all crazy and, laugh at and just have a great time and sing. That's the greatest thing on earth. It was just awful, But I really admired the guitar playing on those albums. And the guy name was Sicky Wife Beater. And
Oh boy.
and you had El Duce, and you had Dr. Heathen Scum, and you had Sicky Wife Beater. And he had some great riffs. He had some great songs. I mean, they could have gone on a normal path, I thought, without the gimmick. But that's not the way it turned out for them. So I was sitting around back in 2011, thinking, man, I want to make a YouTube video. I want to make a guitar video that makes a lot of views, but what do I do? Everything's saturated. Everybody, there's 9,000, 10-year-old girls doing Eruption, they're playing better than I ever will. So I was thinking, here's a guy that nobody has ever done a tribute video for. So it's Sicky Wife Beater. I'll do all his licks and I'll put it up. Didn't think anything had happened. But a couple weeks later, the drummer for the Mentors calls me and asks me if I want to sit in for Sicky on the tour between 2011 and 2012 for a couple of weeks because Sicky couldn't make it. And I said, yeah, just without thinking, because it was the most action I'd had in a while. But so that was an experience all its own. But yeah, I've got a short video of that if you want to see that.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Sure.
Sicky Wife Beater, not a name you could get away with now.
No, not in today's current political climate. No.
Fly.
Yeah,
It's a very unfortunate last name to have when you're growing up, I'm sure.
Yeah, I bet he got made fun of in school.
Yeah, who names their kid Sicky?
Oh, right. Well, actually, his name is Eric Carlson, and
I would change it to Wife Beater too.
Yeah. Here it is. I found it. Okay, now I'm uploading it, and then you can press play when it. Now, to let you know beforehand, there was originally on this video footage there was a little bit of partial nudity, and I had to get a little creative and try and edit that out as best as I can. So
thank you for not getting us banned.
No, so yeah, you should be safe to go. But I had to be. I'm not the world's greatest video editor, but I had to be a little creative. So whenever you're ready.
Yeah, here we go. Check it out. This is Bill playing with the Mentors. Well, obviously I approve.
And they give you a little cameo there too. So.
Apparently, Rob hates boobs. He keeps covering them up.
Yeah, what's the deal?
That means Rob is a
Happily
boob.
married.
Or Rob is a boob. Yeah, that's possible too.
Oh, man.
This lady, she's like 60, and bless her heart, she was just living her best life, I guess. But those things were everywhere.
I could not have predicted what that was about to be if I'd had 1,000 guesses. What was about to show up on the screen? That's funny.
It's funny you mentioned her being in her 60s because the last time I saw Metallica here in Atlanta, what was it? Right after the pandemic, there was a lady that had to be about 60 years old that was walking around the whole stadium just topless. And
that's her. That's her. Yeah.
Parents are covering up their kids' eyes, and the kids are.
And I'm telling you, not to be crude or insensitive or I mean, a bra wouldn't even have helped this woman, but a pair of tube socks might have. But
man.
Yeah, you got to be careful about those 60-year-olds.
I don't know, but
You know
that's
what's funny? It still throws me off. Not too long ago, I might have told this story before, but I was walking into Walmart, and I think I had it wasn't this one, but I had an Iron Maiden shirt on, and there was this lady who had to be like 70, 75 years old, was like, "Oh my God, that was my favorite band. I saw them in 81 and 82," and it still throws me off to realize how old I am. That when she was in her 20s when that happened. The age thing still messes with me all these decades later.
well, when did we fall in love with metal? When we were 13, and here we are. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if any of you were on CPAP machines, but I still love the metal.
Yeah, me too. I grew up listening to Kiss and Ted Nugent and Judas Priest and Aerosmith and all those bands in the 70s, and just kept getting heavier and heavier as times went on.
Yeah. So Steve, Dr. Heathen Scum from the Mentor, I ended up doing a lot of studio work for him after that, just like guitar. The guy, I mean, I'll say this much for those guys. It was.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, it was just getting good too.
I thought I was removing the video. Oh man!
Get him back! Get him back!
Come! What the hell did I do?
You probably just accidentally kicked him out of the studio. If he clicks the link, he can get right back in.
I did. Gosh.
Call him, text
funny,
him.
Steve.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Oh my gosh. Well, here we are doing a live show, and I kicked the live guest. That's a first.
Did I mention that Tex played in a barn on Saturday? I'm just kidding.
You did. Did I mention that I picked up the T's discography?
Not to be confused.
Ah, Bill, I'm so sorry, dude.
I just texted him.
Okay. If you'll just hit the link again.
I think Mark Fields has the best line of the day. He says, "Nothing says sexy time like Gods of Wrath."
I agree.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Oh, mercy buckets.
I thought I would. Damn it.
I have the Metal Church Christmas single they put out back after the first album came out. The 12-inch single. Never even knew they had one, and I ran across it in a store one time. Like, crap, that's cool.
Tony, that artwork was provided by the great Carcass John Fossum.
And since we don't have him, we're talking. Somebody comment on how much they liked your Metallica shirt.
Yeah, but nobody said anything about it except for it's not really a Metallica shirt. But that's
I said something about it at the very beginning, but
oh man,
it says he's in the backstage. I don't see him.
I don't see him. I wonder what. Hang on. I what the hell did
Maybe you didn't do anything wrong.
There we go. Oh my God, dude!
What happened?
I'm so sorry. So I'll tell you what happened. I am stupid, and
I'm stupid.
Removing the videos out of the lineup at the bottom. I totally thought I was removing the videos, and instead it kicked you out. So
well, at the same time, my computer did a restart, so it was just bizarre.
Oh man, I'm so sorry, dude. So you were starting a story, and we'll wrap up the show with this story that you were starting to tell. Please go back into that.
Oh, where was I? Oh no, I was talking about doing some recording work for Steve.
That's it.
And I did that for quite a while, and he asked me in 2019 if I wanted to do another Mentors tour, and I ended up telling him that it just wasn't logistically possible, which it really wasn't for me at the time, and also I just didn't really want to do it because it was one thing at one time in my life, but I kind of got to the point where I didn't really want to be affiliated with that particular venture.
Well, that is very judicious. I admire that. Thank you.
For whatever reason. And that's just that it's not my gig anymore. That's not my bag, and it's fine. But I'll say this about Steve and those guys. They were very professional, polite gentlemen the whole time, and it was a professional gig. And I did have a nice time. And if you can imagine 4 huge guys riding down the highway in California in a rented Subaru, then you get the picture of what a mentor's tour was all about. But that was my 2 weeks of shame right there, and let it never be spoken of again, I guess. So
I just love that those guys are still out there because they've been around since what, like 78, 79?
yeah, too long.
Yeah.
Well, long enough to be on the PMRC
Oh, yeah.
with
Yeah.
Dee Snider and all that. I remember them reading those lyrics thinking, wow, that's pretty serious. I'd never even heard of them, and I was still a young budding metalhead at the time, but still.
Yeah, I think they had a lot to do with kind of messing up my musical influences. I might have been better if I'd never listened to stuff like that. I don't know. But you know, what can you do? That was a part of my past. So
Yeah,
Sure,
we all have our deals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
let's
Hey,
do some business here at the end of the show. I want to let everybody know, if you want to check out Bill's work on the new Reptalian album, you need to check that out at nolifetillmetalrecords.com. It's very good. We can all attest to that. You will dig it.
Thank you.
Concepty, vibey, scary, themed throughout. I love the transitions between the songs and all that. It's really cool. So check that out for sure. You can follow Scott on Instagram at No Life Till Metal Records. You can find him on YouTube by simply searching Scott Waters or looking up No Life Till Metal. You can find me on Instagram at Metal Robs Records, where I will completely beat you down with TikTok videos of stuff that's for sale in my shop. You can follow The Carcass at Carcass John Art on Instagram. And if you need a t-shirt design, a bumper sticker, a D-Rob I logo,
I want that.
And Steve, tell them again, I screw this up every time. How can they find you on YouTube?
Harmless Rebel.
Harmless Rebel on YouTube, where he is a badass doing his own thing over there. So, and it is not an accident that Steve has been on the show the past few episodes, and we will talk about that more later. So, yeah, man, thanks for hanging out. And Bill,
Priest.
thank you so much, dude.
Thank you.
Your video and story.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and they can just, I would imagine if they just Google Reptalian, REPTALIN, they could find you pretty easily.
Yeah, and if you go to YouTube, there's Reptalian channel on YouTube, and also a new channel I started called Metal from the Man Cave. So
I like it.
Either one of those will get you in the right direction or the wrong direction, depending on.
I'm thinking of a logo already.
Oh yeah, send it my way.
Yeah. I will go over and I'll go hit you up with a subscribe. So anyway, you know how we do it for episode 198 of the Metal Roundtable. Shit, I'm not even ready.
Better be ready.
Every stinking
That's
time.
a first.
200 episodes almost. All right, until next time, you know how we do it. Metal.
Metal.
And now I go look for the tab every damn time.